They're here.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we're looking at the young performers who sadly left us all too soon.
Truth, justice, the American way triumphs. Thanks to you two.
Christopher Pettit. Sadly, the struggle to cope with the pressures of fame is a recurring theme in this list.
You wasn't planning on bunking down here, was you?
Of course not. I got a place to stay.
Christopher Pettit seemed on course for a bright future with a role in the Western series The Young Riders and the cult favorite Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
Well, it was petty cash money. You were spending petty cash money.
Zach, I bought a pair of boots and a magazine. You bought a home entertainment center?
It's Walter's idea.
However, an underlying substance use disorder was something he constantly grappled with. By the late 90s, Pettit's career had dwindled to guest spots and bit parts.
Who are you? I'm Tommy. I'm just doing a favor for a friend.
The actor never got to add further credits to his name. On April 12, 2000, Pettit passed away from the combined effects of multiple substances, leaving his career an unfortunate case of unrealized potential. J. Madison Wright Morris. Though her on-screen career was brief, this young actress's story remains deeply moving.
I'm getting a cat, right? I dream I got my cat.
Best known for her role in the short-lived sci-fi series Earth 2, Morris walked away from show business as a teenager. While still in high school, she was diagnosed with restrictive cardiomyopathy, a disease of the heart muscle.
What's your name? What? What's your name?
Despite the challenges ahead of her, Morris pursued her education, earning a teacher's degree and finding love along the way. But 2 weeks after her wedding, her brave journey came to an end. She passed away from a heart attack just a week shy of her 22nd birthday. Bridget Anderson. Hollywood really can be brutal, even to young performers.
I was born and raised in the briar patch. Born and raised in the briar patch. Dun 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 dun.
Bridget Anderson tasted fame and success at just 7 years old with the cult hit Savannah Smiles, successfully auditioning over 60 other child stars, including a young Drew Barrymore.
A harmonica. Gee, thanks, Albie.
But sustaining that early success is never easy, and before the end of the decade, Anderson's career had completely faded. The former actress ultimately dealt with substance use disorder, living with it beyond her teenage years. Tragically, Anderson never got the opportunity to reclaim her career, passing away from an overdose at only 21 years of age.
Hey, how'd you like a piggyback ride?
Yeah.
Sammy Kain Kraft. Sammy Kain Kraft lit up the screen as part of the 2005 remake of The Bad News Bears, building upon her athletic skills to compete in the Junior Olympics.
Hey, Buttermaker. Mom's gonna be here tomorrow.
Oh, perfect.
You know, I was thinking maybe afterwards we can go to Tony Roma's.
She would also explore other ventures in show business, fronting her own band to carve another path in the entertainment industry.
Stuck in the overcast of summer hill, and I have gone.
However, this multi-talented star's potential was cut short by fate. In the early hours of October 9th, 2012, tragedy struck when Kraft lost her life in a car crash. She was just 20 years old. It was a heartbreaking loss of a performer who seemed destined for so much more.
She was just incredible, my best friend, my everything.
John Paul Stoyer. Grace Under Fire was among ABC's highest-rated successes. However, lead star Brett Butler's erratic behavior led to the show's downfall. John Paul Stoyer, Butler's on-screen son, was pulled from the series after alleged inappropriate conduct from Butler. While protecting a young performer was the right thing to do, Stoyer never found his way back to the screen again. After multiple attempts to break into the music industry, he shifted gears and became a restaurant owner in 2015. But this venture would be Stoyer's last. On New Year's Day 2018, the former child star passed away from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Stoyer's former bandmates paid tribute shortly after, thanking him for a lifetime of great memories. Michelle Trachtenberg. Among the more prominent child actors of her generation, Michelle Trachtenberg rose to fame with lead roles in The Adventures of Pete and Pete, Harriet the Spy, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Hey, kid.
I'm not a kid.
The actress graduated to adult-oriented roles with Gossip Girl, cementing her name in the pop culture landscape of the era.
You can tell Jesus that the bitch is back.
However, Trachtenberg's on-screen appearances became increasingly rare over the last decade. By 2024, concerns grew over her health, even while she maintained she was happy and healthy. On February 26, 2025, the actress's death sent shockwaves through the industry. Fans and former co-stars paid tribute to Trachtenberg, mourning the loss of a talent gone too soon.
The world lost a deeply sensitive and good person in Michelle.
Sky Micole Bartusiaak. Bartusiaak seemed to be a rising child star in the early to mid-aughts.
Papa, don't say anything.
After a memorable appearance alongside Mel Gibson in The Patriot, she secured more high-profile roles in 24 and Boogeyman.
What's your name?
Franny.
However, that would be the height of her commercial success, as Bartusiak's later career largely comprised independent films and small roles. Her name resurfaced again in 2014, but under tragic circumstances. Bartusiaak was found unresponsive by her boyfriend, later ruled as an overdose. She was 21. Her time may have been fleeting, but Bartusiak's legacy will live on through the warmth and spirit she brought to the screen.
You know, you make me very happy.
Bobby Driscoll. Though his voice has brought Peter Pan to life for children across generations, Driscoll never got his own fairy tale ending.
There it is, Wendy. Second star to the right and straight on till morning.
Hailed as a wonder child after multiple leading roles in his youth, Driscoll struggled to transition into adult roles.
Things on attack again?
I don't know, Jim. It's hard to foresee the end of this.
Amid scandals, a history of bad behavior, and a stint in rehab, the actor became a pariah in the industry. Ultimately, it was his substance use disorder that solidified his exile. Looking back on his career with bitterness, Driscoll remarked, "I was carried on a silver platter and then dumped into the garbage."
When his Disney contract was cut short, he was thrust back into the civilian world.
Peter Pan may have immortalized his voice, but the actor passed away in obscurity at the age of 31. Gary Coleman. Best known as Arnold Jackson in Different Strokes, Coleman's iconic catchphrase remains a lasting piece of pop culture history.
What you talking about, Louis?
At the peak of his career, he was the highest paid child star on TV. However, the actor was mainly in the news for the wrong reasons later in life, from legal troubles to financial woes and a tumultuous personal life.
So all of you.
Sadly, Coleman was in the press for the final time in 2010. A tragic fall down the stairs resulted in his untimely demise at the age of 42. His death remains a somber reminder of Hollywood's failure to properly support one of its most influential young performers of all time.
Who walked away with Gary Coleman's millions?
You know, even after the lawsuit was concluded, I still don't know.
Kevin Clark. This young actor was excellent as rebellious drummer Freddie Jones in Richard Linklater's School of Rock.
Means you're an alcoholic.
Wrong.
You wouldn't come to work hungover unless you're an alcoholic. Dude, you got a disease.
What's your name?
Freddie Jones.
Freddie Jones. Shut up.
But regardless of how great he was, Clark ultimately decided against a career in acting, and the 2003 film remained his only credit. Fittingly, he became a professional musician instead. Unfortunately, Clark was killed in an accident in May 2021 at the age of 32. He was riding his bike in the dark morning hours when a car hit him. He was taken to the hospital afterward, but there was nothing they could do to save his life.
He was living his best life, as cliche as that was. He was super happy, he was doing everything that he wanted to be doing. Musically, he was fulfilled. And he was just this ray of sunshine whenever he walked into a room.
Matthew Garber. Basically, anyone who was around in the 60s knew the name Matthew Garber.
Perhaps it's a witch. Of course not. witches have brooms.
He starred as Michael Banks in Disney's Mary Poppins, which was not hugely successful financially, but also touched countless audiences emotionally. Garber was even given the Disney Legend honor in 2004.
We better keep an eye on this one. She's tricky. She's wonderful.
But this came nearly 30 years after his death. During a visit to India in 1976, the actor contracted hepatitis. Though he made it back home to England, the condition had worsened and he couldn't recover. In June 1977, at 21 years old, he passed away due to pancreatitis. Cameron Boyce. Speaking of Disney, Cameron Boyce was a very popular star of theirs. Throughout the 2010s, he starred in the Disney Channel sitcom Jessie and the Disney Junior's Jake and the Neverland Pirates. Perhaps most famously, he played Carlos in the Descendants movies.
Man, help me! This thing is a killer! He's gonna chase me down and rip out my throat! This is a vicious, rabid pack animal!
Hey, who told you that?
My mother.
Cruella?
She's a dog expert.
The third film from the latter franchise was a posthumous release, however, as it aired in August 2019, about 1 month after Boyce's tragic death at 20. He suffered from epilepsy and passed away in his sleep from a seizure.
Often described as an old soul, Cameron believed deeply in helping others, combining acting with activism. His family now carrying on the work he began with the Cameron Boyce Foundation.
The autopsy ruled it a sudden, unexpected death in epilepsy. Dana Hill. A successful voice actress, Dana Hill played Max Goof in the 90s sitcom Goof Troop.
Man, what'd you do to get all this stuff? You got the first edition Toxic Offenders? Rad! Can I see one?
The show didn't last long, airing between September and December of 1992. But she was already an established child actor, having received a Young Artist Award for the CBS movie Fallen Angel.
I love you.
Oh, I love you more. We're gonna make it together. You and me.
Hill lived with type 1 diabetes, and it caused debilitating health issues throughout much of her life. In May of 1996, around the time of her 32nd birthday, she fell into a diabetic coma. She soon had a huge stroke and never recovered, passing away in July of that same year. Anissa Jones. This young girl from Indiana became a household name in the mid-60s for playing Buffy Davis on Family Affair.
But I like it here with you and everybody.
Buffy, do you honestly think I'd let a little girl like you go traveling around the world without me?
Jones was 8 years old when audiences first saw her in the role, and she remained with the series until its conclusion in 1971. She subsequently disappeared from the spotlight and wasn't seen on television again.
So she was, at that natural teen age where she's railing against everything. And so when the show was over, she says, I'm not doing this anymore. And that was very tragic.
In August 1976, Jones suffered a fatal overdose. She was just 18. A toxicological study later found large amounts of illicit substances in her system, including a sedative known as secobarbital. Jones's family sued the doctor who prescribed the drug and were awarded close to $80,000. Michelle Thomas. A popular sitcom actress, Michelle Thomas notably found success on both The Cosby Show and Family Matters. She was most recognized for her work in the latter, playing Myra Monkhouse in 55 episodes of the show.
Stephen, you saved the restaurant. You're a hero.
Well, hero is such an appropriate word.
Well, you may have extinguished those flames, but you've only ignited mine.
Shortly after the iconic series concluded, Thomas was diagnosed with a type of abdominal cancer that remains very hard to treat. The news came in August of 1997, just 1 month shy of her 29th birthday. Though she continued to work and had multiple surgeries, Thomas only made it another 16 months before passing away on December 23, 1998, at 30 years old.
Anytime I mention Michelle Thomas, there's a certain amount of innocence I'm just taken back to.
Rob Knox. Most people will know Rob Knox from Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, in which he played Marcus Belby.
For those of you who don't know, Marcus's uncle invented the wolfsbane potion. Is he working on anything new?
Don't know. Him and Dad don't get on. Probably because my dad says potions are rubbish.
It's the only potion worth having. It's a stiff one at the end of the day.
However, he had been working in the industry since he was 11 and served as an uncredited extra in the 2004 version of King Arthur. Knox was also reportedly supposed to appear in the Deathly Hallows, but he was killed before getting the chance to do so. He and his brother Jamie were by a London bar when an armed man began intimidating Jamie. Knox, then only 18, came to his siblings' defense and was stabbed to death.
For Rob to do what he did on the night of the 24th of May is, you know, I can't imagine many people doing that, but he put himself in harm's way to save his friends and his brother, and that's heroic.
The attacker, named Carl Bishop, was sentenced to life in prison. Nikita Pearl Wlea. In 2016, Nikita Pearl Wlea starred in Queen of Katwe, a biographical sports movie about Ugandan chess player Fiona Mutesi. She played Fiona's friend Gloria, who helped her learn and master the game.
This is Little Man. His border is broken so he can only bump into things. Beep, beep, beep. This is the Queen.
That same year, Wlea learned that she had a brain tumor. The film's director, Mira Nair, is said to have helped move the actress from Uganda to India so that she could seek better treatment.
In chess, the small one can become the big one. That's why I like it.
She fought the cancer for nearly 5 years, but eventually succumbed to the disease in February 2020 at the age of 15. Dana Plato. An enormous teen star, Dana Plato was most well known for playing Kimberly Drummond on Different Strokes.
I wasn't there when it happened.
You weren't there? Have you kids invented something new I don't know about?
She appeared in 140 episodes, and her work on that sitcom notably got her a Young Artist Award nomination. Plato also appeared in the enormously controversial Night Trap video game, which was uncommon for celebrities at the time.
Hey, Sarah, where's your bedroom? Oh, it's downstairs. You know, this place seems awfully large. Do you have a big family?
No, it's just my parents, my brother, and me. But you never know who might drop in.
On May 7, 1999, the 34-year-old actor was a guest on The Howard Stern Show, where she discussed her problems with substance use. She died of an overdose the following night while in Oklahoma with her boyfriend. She was eventually said to have taken her own life. Sawyer Sweden. Between 1996 and 2005, Sawyer Sweden starred as Jeffrey Barone on Everybody Loves Raymond.
Hello, Michael. I just flew in from Cleveland. And your arms are very tired.
When the show began in September 1996, he was just 1 year old. When it ended in May of 2005, Sweden was 10. In other words, fans watched him grow up in real time, right in front of their eyes. But nearly 10 years later, in April 2015, Sweden took his own life. He was less than a month away from turning 20. Many of his peers released touching statements in which they praised his kindness and talent.
His TV dad, Ray Romano, said, quote, "I'm shocked. He was a wonderful and sweet kid to be around."
Brittany Murphy. When she was young, Brittany Murphy convinced her single mother to take the family from New Jersey to California so she could break into the entertainment industry. They went to LA in 1991, and Murphy immediately found work on the short-lived Fox sitcom Drexel's Class. She later achieved enormous fame playing Ty Frazier in Clueless.
How you like California? Man, I'm freaking. I could really use some sort of an herbal refreshment.
Oh, well, we do lunch in 10 minutes. We don't have any tea, but we have Coke and stuff.
No shit, you guys got Coke here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is America.
Sadly, Murphy passed away in 2009 at the age of 32. The official cause of death given was pneumonia, anemia, and prescription substance use. And the circumstances of her passing are still shrouded in mystery. Many believe there's more to the story, including some who say mold may have played a part in her death.
A certain memory that you go to when you think of her and your time spent on Clueless.
Her laugh.
Yeah,
Totally.
Contagious. So
He was
sweet.
so genuinely sweet.
Lee Thompson Young. This actor initially found success on the famous Jet Jackson.
Yeah, just what the doctor ordered. 3-day weekend. Oh yeah, I'm ready.
Swimming hole tomorrow?
Check. Oh, unchecked. I'm working.
Gonna miss you. Fishing at the lake Saturday?
Check. Unchecked. I'm working.
Movie Saturday night?
Check. Unchecked. Night shoot.
The show debuted in October 1998, when Young was 14 years old. Unlike some child stars, he continued booking gigs as he got older and found a steady job on Rizzoli and Isles. But he was also struggling with mental health issues, including depression. When he didn't come to work one day, authorities made their way to his residence, where they discovered he was deceased. Young had taken his own life at the age of 29, and his Rizzoli and Isles character Barry Frost was subsequently killed off. Brad Renfro. When Brad Renfro was 11 years old, he starred as young Mark Sway in the Joel Schumacher legal thriller, The Client.
God, I'm sorry I worried you.
I'm glad you came.
Not sure that I had that much choice. Mom, if you don't want me to tell him where the body is, I won't.
The movie grossed over $100 million and launched his career. He would later appear in notable motion pictures like Apt Pupil and Ghost World.
Well, hello there, young employee of the Sidewinder.
Look, I already told you guys, I'm not gonna give you a ride.
What can you tell me, young man, about the various flavors of frozen yogurt?
I'll be done in a minute. Can you guys just wait outside or something?
But Renfro also dealt with substance use disorder and was first arrested at just 15 for possession of illicit substances. He would face numerous legal troubles throughout the 2000s, including multiple arrests for driving under the influence. He passed away from accidental drug intoxication in January 2008 at the age of 25. Heather O'Rourke. Six-time Young Award Artist nominee and one-time winner Heather O'Rourke is best known as the little girl who wonderfully played Carol Ann Freeling in the Poltergeist movies. The series' third entry, Poltergeist 3, was released a little over 4 months after her untimely death in 1988.
It gets lonely being away from home, doesn't it?
Yeah, Pat and Bruce and Don are real nice, but I miss my mom and dad, and even my brother.
The young actress had been feeling sick and was taken to the hospital in the morning of February 1st as her condition worsened. She was then diagnosed with intestinal stenosis. Basically, her digestive organ had narrowed and therefore couldn't function properly. Doctors performed surgery, but O'Rourke was already in septic shock and went into cardiopulmonary arrest. She passed away at just 12 years old.
She said she loved me and then she suffered cardiac arrest in the ambulance. And then they operated on her after they had her stable, and they told me she had a congenital blocked intestine and had died of septic shock.
Anton Yelchin. This future star was just a baby when he moved from the Soviet Union to America in September of 1989. About 12 years later, Anton Yelchin portrayed Bobby Garfield opposite Anthony Hopkins in Hearts in Atlantis.
Yeah?
Oh, is that how we answer the phone?
Oh, hi, Mom. I'm sorry. I was just excited about dinner and all.
He went on to have a very successful career in film and TV. In June 2016, the 27-year-old actor wasn't at a rehearsal as planned, so his friends decided to look for him at his home. It was there that they found Yelchin deceased, having been crushed to death by his car pinned between a brick pillar and fence. The driverless vehicle had rolled down the steep driveway, causing the tragic accident.
He was the youngest one of the crew, and I almost feel like he was the wisest one, so it was a terrible loss. We're mourning. He's an irreplaceable person and the kindest person, and he loved what he did.
Josh Ryan Evans. The recipient of 2 Soap Opera Digest Awards and a Daytime Emmy nomination, Josh Ryan Evans found acclaim as Timmy Lennox on Passions.
Give me that page, you little twit. I need it to help me figure out a way to bring Charity over to the dark side.
Timmy won't let you hurt Charity.
A popular soap opera. Evans was born with a type of dwarfism and suffered from a congenital cardiac condition. He was in the hospital getting treatment for the latter in early August 2002, but he tragically died during a procedure at the age of 20. In a bizarrely tragic coincidence, the episode of Passions in which his character Timmy dies aired on the exact same day that Evans actually passed away.
On the day of his passing, Josh Ryan Evans' character Timmy also died on the soap opera Passions in an episode shot over a month ago.
Jonathan Brandis. Jonathan Brandis notably brought young Bill Denbrough from It to life, and he was also very successful outside of the miniseries. In fact, he was nominated for 6 Young Artist Awards throughout his career and won one for his performance in the NBC sci-fi program Sequest DSV.
Who are you?
Who are you?
Lucas Wallencheck, Nathan Bridger. Lucas designed the system that allows Darwin to speak. You're kidding.
You, seem surprised, Captain.
But his career began to slow by the late 90s, and he reportedly fell into a deep depression. He turned to alcohol as a result, becoming a heavy drinker. On November 11th, 2003, at the age of 27, Brandis attempted to take his own life. He initially survived and was rushed to the hospital, but succumbed to his injuries the next day.
When I hear Jonathan's recordings over and over and the amount of love that was there, and that he must have been going through so much pain.
Judith Barcy. The following is a very disturbing story, so take heed. Judith Barcy was an enormously successful actress who appeared in dozens of movies and TV shows throughout the 80s. She was perhaps most famous for her role as Ducky in the animated classic The Land Before Time.
All right. I'm not a long neck. I'm a big mouth. But I am all alone. I am.
But her father, Joseph Barcy, was an alcoholic who severely mistreated his wife and daughter. It grew so bad that young Judith broke down and protective services were called. Her mother, Maria, promised them that she was going to end things with Joseph and leave with Judith. Sadly, that never happened, as Joseph killed both Maria and Judith before taking his own life. Corey Haim. One of the biggest stars of the 1980s, Corey Haim was a teen idol who often starred in movies alongside Corey Feldman.
We're dedicated to a higher purpose. We're fighters for truth, justice, and the American way.
Right.
Hey, man. Read this.
Unfortunately, Haim had a difficult life, being mistreated and beginning substance use at an early age. By 2001, he had reportedly been in and out of rehab 15 times. He was also broke and developed a prescription substance use disorder. In March of 2010, Haim began suffering flu-like symptoms and collapsed in the early morning hours of March 10th. He later died at the hospital. It was ruled as a natural death from pneumonia exacerbated by other factors. He was 38 years old.
He was doing amazing. He was merely sick that day. He died in my arms. I knew he was nothing else, but I didn't know exactly what it was. I had to wait for the coroner's report and the autopsy.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. River Phoenix. The eldest of the famous Phoenix family, River began acting at 10 years old. He became a household name with Stand By Me, released the same month that he turned 16.
Hey, guys. I bet you anything that if we find him, we'll get our pictures in the paper. Yeah, we can even be on TV. Sure, we'll be heroes. Yeah.
He won further acclaim with roles in Running on Empty and My Own Private Idaho. In the final days of his life, he embarked on a substance binge with John Frusciante of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. On the night of October 30th, 1993, Phoenix was in LA's famous Viper Room when he began feeling sick. He made his way outside and collapsed on the sidewalk. Although he was rushed to the hospital, attempts to save him were unsuccessful.
River Phoenix stumbled out of this trendy sunset nightclub known as the Viper Room and died of a massive drug overdose. Paramedics found him on the sidewalk.
He didn't have a heartbeat, didn't have a pulse.
Is there a name we forgot about? Let us know in the comments.
See ya. Not if I see you first.